I heard a person this week given a description of the gospel, which was sort of unique, but it's a good description of the gospel. He told it in a sort of a parable form, and he told it like this. He said there was a king whose reputation throughout all of the land was for two things. He was a loving king who loved all of his subjects, cared deeply for them, but he was also a just king. He was a king who believed in justice. So this king ruled the land, and all the people loved him. And then there come a time period when the kingdom's treasures began to get stolen. And over, they started to notice it. And so the king put out a decree, and he said, anybody that's caught stealing, anyone that's caught stealing now from the treasury of the kingdom, they are going to get 9 lashes. 9 lashes. But that didn't change things. The thieving continued to go on. They continued to steal from this benevolent, this kind, this loving king over and over again. And it got to such a point that his subjects were coming to him, and he said, from this point forward, whoever's stealing, when they get caught, 40 lashes. Now, if you know anything about lashes, they never went to 40 because 40 was a death sentence. If you got to 40, the person wasn't going to survive 40. So basically, the king was saying the penalty is death. The penalty is death. Well, as the royal investigators went on about their business, they discovered the culprit of the thefts, and it was the king's daughter. The king had already said the penalty of this theft is death. So now he's in a situation, he loves his daughter, she's precious to him, but he's got to be just. He's got to be just. He's got to enact this discipline. And so when they bring his daughter into the room and they put her upon the punishment table where she's going to receive these lashes, the king does nothing to stop it. He decrees that his daughter will die. But as the person with the whip started to get ready to do the punishment, the king stood up from the throne, and he walked in between his daughter and those who would give the punishment. He took off his royal robes and gave his back, and he turned and he laid upon his daughter. And the punisher said, "King, we can't reach your daughter because you're in between us and her." And he said, "Give the 40 lashes." So the king took the 40 lashes and died in his daughter's stead. And folks, that's what Jesus did for us. The penalty of our sin is death. But Jesus, who loved us, took on the robe of flesh, lived the life that we were unable to. And when it was time to pay the penalty for that sin, Jesus took our place on the cross of Calvary. The lashes that Jesus took, the pain that he suffered, the mocking, the ridicule, the blood that he shed, the body that he allowed to be broken, he did that all for us. Because he's just and because he's loving, he made a way for each one of us to be forgiven of our sins.